I don't think he has the mind of a fighter. I know I'm gonna knock him out.
I just see him quitting. You know, he's not a real fighter.
I don't think he's ready for what I bring.
I'm gonna kill him, bro. I'm gonna make this guy suffer. I'm gonna make him pay.
Ali Frazier, Hagler Hearns, Gotti Ward. Every generation has its epic rivalries. This was no different. We can all remember the vicious tweets Ali landed on Foreman, or the devastatingly delicious cake that Gotti baked for Ward. No, what immortalized those rivalries was decades of single-minded obsessive dedication to the craft of administering punishment, meeting a willingness to push beyond the normal limits of endurance for a human being. Logan Paul, by contrast, is a social influencer, juggling more useless crap than a clown on a unicycle. He's got Prime, he's got his podcast, he's got WWE. He's even gone and stuck his shifty fingers into the blockchain and got himself one of them cutting-edge crypto scams. From my understanding, CryptoZoo was a truly groundbreaking project that hoped to combine advanced cryptography with the latest high-tech buzzwords in order to convert his 12-year-old fans' pocket money into a brand new Lamborghini.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a Lambo!
You know, at least he's not actually mugging his fans in the street. And he was going up against someone with notoriously bad striking by MMA standards, and who is known for pulling out of big fights. So as a sporting contest, so dull, so boring, so absolutely substandard in every respect. And it wasn't just a matchup, it was the nature of the whole thing. The contest would serve as the co-main event on the DAZN by Misfits Prime card. So the whole event was basically a marketing gimmick for the artificially sweetened crap Logan Paul and KSI are peddling to kids. Prime has 2 lines of drinks. There's Prime Hydration. I'm sure that's got all the usual ISO, who's, and electro whatnots, and it looks like it tastes like ADHD.
The fastest growing sports drink.
And then there's Prime Energy, an anxiety-inducing cocktail of artificially sweetened rocket fuel with heart-palpitating levels of caffeine for these guys' target audience, which is kids. This'll have their little hearts beating so fast, the doctor will think he's listening to dubstep on a stethoscope.
Federal lawmakers are calling on the FDA to investigate the energy drink company, saying the caffeine in these drinks is too high for kids.
200 milligrams of caffeine is a huge amount of caffeine. That is too much for any growing child.
And there's not enough distinction between the hydration version and the energy drink.
And they look exactly the same coloring, same logo, but in a can. It's just like Coca-Cola. You don't think the bottles and the cans are a different product.
It has 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is the same as drinking 2 cans of Red Bull.
And that much caffeine can cause some adverse effects, such as disrupted sleep, mood disorders, upset stomach, even abnormal heart rhythms.
So what we have is a marketing gimmick centered around an utterly pointless clash of boxing nobodies. Thrilling stuff. So how did this whole Brainless fiasco become, in terms of traction and engagement, one of the biggest combat sports clashes of the year? Possibly the biggest surprise in the whole thing was that a man who appeared to represent a kind of a dull, listless stepping stone to McGregor emerged as having one legitimate talent. Through a combination of having the personality of a teenager and a reputation that already resembled a piece of used toilet paper, Dillon Danis was perfectly cast to play the role of Cupid's evil twin, and ultimately threatened to break up the very simple-minded union of Logan Paul and Nina Agdal. It all started when Dillon shared an image of Nina Agdal with Leonardo DiCaprio. It looked like Romeo and Juliet, but it soon resembled a Titanic. One pic became 2, 2 became 4, and pretty soon, to the delight of Twitter, the couple had hit a very sizable iceberg in the form of Nina's dating history. They were drowning in a sea of photos, photoshops, videos, and memes, all portraying Nina as a woman who's had more flings than a boomerang. Eventually, Dillon was teasing a photo so devastating, so utterly catastrophic, that if he posted it, the wedding would be off, the internet would go down, Western civilization would collapse. It would shred the very fabric of reality. But he would only post it if he got to 2 million Instagram for fuck's sake. But it was odd. We've seen fighters dragging wives into things before. Conor did it with Khabib and Poirier. Neither gained much traction. The Poirier one was especially embarrassing. So people don't generally go for this. Jake Paul did some interesting psychoanalysis of the whole phenomenon.
Hurt males out there who can't get girls, and they're the ones who are like, yeah, like fuck girls, fuck women. I'm gonna do. I love what Dillon's doing here, but they have no way to interact with girls, and they text them and they're getting rejected, and now they're finding a way out to unleash their hate through this super hateful, insecure male who is clearly a very hurt person.
Now, I'm sure that describes one subset of the people who were enjoying this, but there was a lot going on here. Firstly, Nina had asked Logan to kind of guard her identity on his social media.
We have been super intentional about being private while we were dating. Because of the engagement, you've agreed to come on Impulsive.
I know, I needed that ring on my finger before going here, but it's here, so we're ready to go.
The irony of Nina being relatively unknown is that it offered Dillon not only the opportunity to exploit her public image, but to basically author it in the process. And Dillon didn't author a very sympathetic character. He wasn't presenting Jane Eyre. His timeline looked like 50 Shades of Trash. The story of a money-hungry it girl shamelessly sleeping away in a high society. A woman who could play the bed springs like a musical instrument and have that headboard knocking like it's a fucking metronome. The reality, the presumably complex inner life of Nina Agdal,
I like you.
And
you like me.
Yeah.
Didn't matter here. She was framed as a representation of a kind of entitled, unlikable modern archetype. So, obviously still not a righteous target, but I think people saw her as a kind of a satisfying one, and at the very least, not as a sympathetic figure. Another obvious consideration, a lot of people just hate Logan Paul. And it's not all jealousy.
99% of hate on the internet is driven out of jealousy.
Dude, they're all jealous of you, dude. That's the only explanation. No. Plenty of justifiable reasons to hate that guy. But I think the single biggest factor was just the pure drama of Logan getting utterly blindsided by the fact that his fiancée has been in more beds than bed bugs. Allegedly. I don't want to get in trouble here. Allegedly more beds than bed bugs. The one podcast that Logan did with Nina made it absolutely clear he had no idea the extent of her romantic resume.
You not having sex with me for the duration of time that you did was very important.
Do you believe that waiting period led to this moment?
No.
I do. I absolutely do.
Really?
I thought it was classy. Kinda always wanted my fiance to be that.
It appeared Nina had been caught playing what pros like to call the long game.
I know who Nina is. She's a fucking angel.
She's an angel, the guardian angel of future hefty fucking divorce settlements.
She's had long-term boyfriends her whole life, and it's so stupid that I have to come on here and clarify the fact that my supermodel girlfriend got paparazzi with her exes. Yeah, she took pictures with her exes. Yes, guys came up to her and wanted to take photos, including LeBron.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, God, no. No. He didn't just say that. This is a very funny one, because it's obvious what happened. When all these photos emerged, Logan went and asked her, so what's with all these photos of different dudes? And she probably said something like, Logan, don't be so paranoid. I'm a famous supermodel. LeBron is just a fan. And so Logan has been out there foolishly repeating that lie, that LeBron asked her for the photo. But the second Dillon pointed out how laughable that idea is, he must have just turned fucking bright red from embarrassment. Oh my God, how gullible could I be?
Who fucking came up to her and wanted a photo.
She's an angel, dude. She wouldn't tell no lies. LeBron was hounding her for a photo. She reluctantly agreed. She doesn't like the Lakers.
I've come to talk with you.
But to Jake's point, what type of disgraceful, bottom-feeding slug would bring someone's girlfriend in a fight promotion.
Or maybe you're jacking off because you're sick of your wife. I mean, she's a 4-counter. You could do a lot better, but happy Monday.
Fuck women. I'm gonna do.
Around September 6th, it emerged Nina was taking legal action against Dillon, claiming she suffered emotional distress and reputational harm. The suit centered around a couple photos and an embarrassing video, which TMZ described as Nina clamoring for intimacy. To put it another way, you've all heard of the Hamburglar. Well, here comes the sausage gobbler. But this was a problem for Dillon, because this video had never been shared. It was in her private Snapchat. Nina felt she had clearly been hacked. She hired a private security team who discovered that her Snapchat password had indeed been changed in January 2022 from an iPad device in Phoenix. Wow. I mean, these guys are good. Her password was again changed in February 2022, this time from an iPhone in New York. Wow. I mean, my God, this is just amazingly sophisticated work. The reality is, most accounts I have, even Netflix, if there's a new login, I get an email telling me where the login was and what the device used to sign in was. So this fancy-sounding high-tech team, they probably just took a cursory glance at her fucking emails. Something tells me she hired the Paul brothers cybersecurity firm. Oh, what a joke. Anyway, Agdal was seeking $150,000 for each one of the tweets that broke the law. And more importantly, she got a restraining order, which aimed to curtail Dillon's online campaign. One thing this whole mindless fiasco did achieve was to build legitimate hype for the face-to-face confrontations between Dillon and Logan. Mostly juvenile nonsense, but they both had their moments. Logan framed Dillon's persecution of Nina as having almost therapeutic significance for Dillon.
Trying to say you're not a scumbag and you're gonna talk about my dad passing?
I empathize with you, Dillon.
Okay.
Because I understand that Twitter right now for you is like a group therapy session.
Yeah.
For the first time in a while, you're getting a sense of validation that you have not gotten.
I always... No.
And so if that fills the empty voids in your heart, I empathize with you.
He's trying to tie in the death of Dillon's father. I don't think it's that deep. Dillon has always been a guy who feels entitled to lots of attention. There's a much more obvious explanation for that, which I'll get into later. I don't think you need to bring his dad into it. But the idea Dillon was prepared to cross so many lines to satisfy a very strong need for attention, that absolutely rang true. I mean, could anything summarize Dillon Danis more succinctly than that? Compulsively seeking unearned attention. Largely though, Logan as a fight promoter doesn't convince me whatsoever. Silly props, Dillon is spitting fire about his future wife, and Logan shows up to a fucking catering contest. You know, it's interesting when you watch guys who have tens of millions of social media followers specifically for their personalities trying to hype a fight. You gain a whole new appreciation for guys like McGregor and Chael Sonnen, or even Colby and Askren. I mean, some of this stuff was so bad it was actually impressive.
I'm different, bro. I'm different.
Jake Paul was different.
I am the one that can see John Cena.
Oof, terrible. Even Bert Kreischer, or that other fucking guy, could write a better joke than that. Nah, I'm just kidding. They couldn't.
I'm different.
Yeah, you're definitely different. Very special indeed. My favorite from Dillon was this pre-fight press conference, when Logan wheeled out yet another surprise in Chris Hansen, which actually was kind of surreal.
I'm going to catch you. And in fact, I brought an expert because we are going to catch you. I got my boy,
Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen. Because me and Chris Hansen are going to catch a predator.
So now you've got Logan Paul, who frames himself as this master promoter and charismatic alpha male, and Chris Hansen, a famous TV personality, together trying to tag team Dillon. But Dillon quickly turned it around on both of them. He promptly shot Logan's whole predator gimmick out the sky like a clay pigeon by instructing Chris Hansen to instead investigate Logan's father.
A YouTube video of him kissing a 16-year-old.
I don't know much about Greg Paul. I don't know if he's a predator, but based on Jake's reports, he does seem like the ultimate shitty pop star parent.
Survived a traumatic childhood together between our parents, like abusing us. Like, if you can't even make your own parents proud as like a kid, even when like I would win the tournament, it was like, oh, but that wasn't good enough.
Dillon also flipped the script on Chris Hansen. This was impressive.
Go ahead, take a seat.
Go pay your taxes, buddy. Go pay your taxes, buddy.
I have no issue there, brother.
Oh, yeah, you do.
No, I don't. You're wrong again. See, this is why.
So you don't make money anymore?
I'm doing just fine, son. I got a whole new network.
Logan Paul.
Yeah, Dillon turned them tables pretty quick on both those guys. Beyond the trash talk, they were both promising to deliver some sinister punishment on fight night. I mean, it was gonna be an execution. One way or another, the canvas would run red, and not from the icing on one of Logan's stupid cakes.
But no matter how much you talk, you are gonna have to show up October 14th.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I wish it was today. I wish it was today.
Fucking murk your ass.
You're terrible.
I will drop.
Let's get everybody
you
out here and see who gets out of the room. Okay.
I will rip you limb from limb.
Oh,
you will be able to breathe. I will rearrange your entire body.
So why are we doing a boxing fight?
We can do whatever.
I would kill you, bro. I would kill you, Dad. Yeah.
I may wake up that day and be like, I want to get him out in 1. I may want to get him out in 6. I may want to make him suffer. I might let him get up, recover, get up, recover. Well, he's fucked.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how diluted these two now sound? Like, did anyone see the bizarre confrontation between Jake and Logan?
If he stops KSI, I'm going for Tommy's throat. I love that vengeance storyline. Do something.
No, I'm gonna finish him off first. I gotta handle that business first.
We'll see, bro, because you definitely sniped the Nate Diaz fight from me, and I've been so lenient in giving you your opponents.
But it's not your option to give me my opponents. You haven't fought anyone. You don't fight. You don't fight real fights. You're not even a fighter. Like, you do exhibitions and lost like 4 years ago. So it's not your option to like give me my fights.
I think I'm better than you, and I think Nate chose you for a reason. And I think everyone knows that.
But what have you done to prove that you're better than me?
I don't know. Went toe-to-toe 8 rounds with the greatest boxer of all time.
You think because you lost a fight to Floyd Mayweather that you're better than me at boxing?
I'm tired of not being picked because you're an easier fight.
Is that what you really think in your head?
I'm Jake.
I think
the motherfuckers are avoiding me. They are avoiding me or picking someone else, and that's obnoxious. The story arc, the vengeance arc of avenging my business partner and brother.
I think you just want to beat Tommy to be able to say that you're better than me at boxing.
Beautiful. Nailed it. It's not about some grand revenge arc. This is some Cain and Abel shit. This is Logan trying to establish dominance. Jake absolutely hit the nail on the head there.
I think that's more so what it sounded like. But it's crazy for you to think that people are avoiding you. Basically, like off camera, he was basically like, no, like I never respected you when we were kids. Like I thought you were a failure.
Very off-putting to see Logan, who has outshunned Jake in multiple ways, shooting down his little brother in such a jealous and petty manner. And totally deluded. He'd get demolished. Jake would turn the Paul brothers into the Paul brother, while turning himself into a pallbearer. Jake would bury Logan. So this fight was always a donkey who thinks he's a racehorse going up against a goldfish trying to learn how to tap dance. And unsurprisingly, the fight was terrible. Dillon walked him down but mounted no offense and was pulling stupid stunts the whole way through. While Logan, he might want to talk to his endocrinologist, get a refund. I mean, isn't one of the side effects of roids supposed to be rage? This was an anabolic catastrophe. He may as well be injecting estrogen for all the fury in his performance. Again, allegedly. We don't know if Logan is on steroids. All I'm saying is that if he is, he'd want to get a refund. The whole thing was a non-event. A stupid, pointless anticlimax. But as frustrating as it was to watch, it almost seemed like a fitting end. You can tell that Logan had been visualizing his win in the most romantic terms. The end of Rocky movies have been blowing through his empty skull like tumbleweeds. He'd topple his rival in dramatic fashion. The fans would hoist him onto their shoulders. He would proclaim his love for Nina and be framed as a hero who went through hell to defend the honor of his woman. You can tell that because that's the angle he went for anyway.
Speech! Listen, everybody. Wow, room full of people I love. We did it. I really wanted to knock him out so badly, but I told myself I wasn't going to go in there and fight with emotion. The one thing we did do is beat that fucking bitch's ass. He put me through hell these last 2 months. Me and my girl got stronger than ever. Tonight baby girl, I love you so much. I love you so much. I can't wait to start a family with you. Maybe we can talk about having that baby soon. Do it tonight! Do it tonight!
Awful people. I'm against this. I'm just against everything that's going on in this scene. So cheesy, so simple-minded, such misplaced self-aggrandizing. But it all just fell so flat on every level. Dillon hardly threw a punch, so for Logan, this fight was as easy as giving caffeine to a baby. He was handed the win, but ultimately denied the opportunity to defend Nina in any meaningful manner. All his dramatic post-fight outpourings and airheaded proclamations of love missed their mark, and the only person carrying Logan around on his shoulders as a hero was Jake. The other angle Logan had coming in was that in order to fight a smart fight and not be overcome with emotion, he forgave Dillon.
Figured out how we're gonna go into this fight as emotionless and calm, relaxed. I forgive Dillon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome!
Honestly, that could have been kind of clever and useful had there been some risk involved and had Logan had to fight his best fight. Instead, Dillon both literally and figuratively lay down for him. So this whole profound forgiveness angle that he made sure to capture in a build-up was ultimately revealed to be completely irrelevant. And so, the last big blow Dillon landed on Logan was to render the whole baffling shit show as being completely devoid of any significance whatsoever, and Logan's victory as being impossible to frame as anything remotely grandiose. All Logan's efforts to protect his woman and all his dramatic speeches ultimately amounted to absolutely nothing, which is actually an appropriate conclusion to Logan's boxing career. So in a sense, I think you could say Dillon kinda won, but even so, it's all just so strange. There seems to be so little depth to Dillon in terms of his goals and aspirations. You know, when Logan made his comment about Dillon reveling in his newfound popularity, it seemed to ring so true. He had cultivated tons of fans, he was getting a lot of love, and he clearly relished it. But in retrospect, it seems Logan was missing one detail. In the fight, there was no sense from Dillon that, you know, these people are supporting me. I got tons of new fans. They're paying their parents' hard-earned money, so I'm gonna put on a show. Instead, Dillon just seemed to think, you know what? Fuck him, and proceeded to shit the bed. So, while he craves attention, he doesn't seem to care if it's positive or negative. Now, that's not at all new. Colby, for example, has often said that not caring what people think is a superpower. But there's a couple big differences. With Colby, it's more of an act, and more importantly, there's a clear utility to that attention. Colby's gonna use any infamy to build his profile, get bigger fights, make more money, great plan, totally pragmatic. Dillon's not caring is much less contrived, and just seems a lot less practical or intelligent. Like he didn't get pay-per-view points here.
Dillon has done almost all the promoting for this fight, has 0% back end, and he's gonna have to pay all the money he makes in this fight back to my fiance.
The whole endeavor could be a financial loss, and while he did raise his profile, it was only to show the world he's someone who can only be relied on to not deliver. Now, Dillon does claim he makes great money on social media, so maybe that's the whole play. But it honestly seems that for Dillon, the big payoff is simply in the validation he gets from the attention itself. And that makes you wonder, you know, maybe being part of, and eventually at the very center of, the McGregor whirlwind was the worst thing that ever happened to him. Like maybe he found that whole thing and the notoriety it brought so exhilarating that it kind of warped his priorities. You know, think about that sequence of events and their payoffs for Dillon. There are huge parallels here. He did nothing but talk shit to Khabib. He didn't actually have to deliver anything in the cage, but then suddenly found himself at the heart, at the very center of the biggest moment in MMA history. I mean, have we ever seen a better example of completely unearned attention than that? Is it possible that's why he is the way he is? Maybe that sequence of events gave Dillon both a need for and a blueprint on how to command lots of unearned attention. That's honestly how it looks to me, that the attention itself was the real and possibly only reward for Dillon Danis. And it continues to this day. Logan Paul recently announced that they are going to have a baby, and Dillon quickly jumped in with, "Who's the father?" Dillon is basically a person who has one joke that works, but he's been trying to diversify his portfolio. I mean, he's been getting little beefs with other women. Paige Van Zandt, Nina Drama. I'm sure Rose Namajunas is bracing herself. And he's recently been describing the legal turmoil he's been battling every single day for 8 months. He wants the trial to be live streamed. I bet he does. Imagine how many clicks and Instagram followers it would get. "Objection, Your Honor. My live stream's all glitchy. I want to fix the fucking live stream." The funny thing is, Logan would probably love that idea. I mean, he filmed and uploaded his proposal. Nothing is sacred. They'll probably be the first couple to live stream the birth of their child. They'll have KSI dropped in a prime parachute to cut the fucking umbilical cord. I know people are on Dillon's side with the case, and when you consider that Logan already made all the money from the promotion of the fight, there is a sense that Logan already collected a massive payday from Dillon's antics. And there's also the idea that you don't really want to set a precedent for fighters suing other fighters for fight promotion. I don't think that's a road we want to go down. But even if you disagree with the suit, it's hard to feel sorry for Dillon when you consider everything: the build-up, the promises to destroy Logan, the middle finger to his paying supporters, his repeated failures to show up or ever provide anything of substance, and that desperate, bottomless need for completely unearned attention. Then just like Nina, Dillon just does not present as a sympathetic figure. In terms of his aspirations and goals with respect to the sport, it all just seems so uniquely hollow.